What's happening? What's happening? It's your favorite sports show. This is Sports Counterpoints. I'm GB, Brian, and Coop. What's up, guys?
What's going
Hey,
on?
Man, what's happening with it? Fun week of sports. Postseason for baseball. We're to the World Series. NBA is popping. We're going to see the Flyers and the Sharks in a couple weeks. Hockey's going. Man, football. It's when everything's popping. So that's great. So today we're going to start with baseball. We'll slide into a little bit of basketball. It's ain't gonna be the full preview show yet. That'll be a little bit, a week or so down the line, and then straight to the NFL, to the league. So starting with baseball real quick. I actually watched Game 7 yesterday for the Phillies and the Diamondbacks. Yeah, pretty solid game. Diamondbacks is on their grind. Philly was in it, but couldn't pull it out in the end. Any kind of thoughts on this matchup, the Rangers and the Diamondbacks?
well, I know Brian's going to watch all the World Series games, so go ahead.
Well, what's funny is that when we were talking about this was the matchup I said I wanted. The reason I said I wanted it was because I know too many damn Philly fans and all Philadelphia fans think that they're the only thing that exists. And I didn't
They've
want
had
to do that.
the Eagles lost in the championship. They lost now, and then there's one more.
Yeah.
One other Philly team. I can't
They
think
can
of
all be real quiet for a while. It'll be a big change. I'll tell you that for Philadelphia fans. But anyways, and then I absolutely hate the Astros. So obviously wanted to see them go down. So this was the matchup that I was hoping for. I also completely acknowledge it's not the matchup I did not think would happen. Arizona again was the only team that had a negative run differential and made the playoffs. And this kind of goes to show that you getting hot at the right time, coming in with momentum towards the end of the season and just hitting that streak is more important than playing good for the entire season. And the Dodgers, by example, they had problems all season long with starting pitching, getting injured. They had all types of injuries. They had to, ban a player, one of their top pitchers from the team. And so they had a big gap there. And they obviously didn't get hot at the right time. They lost to the Diamondbacks. It's good to see them go all the way. If you're a Dodger fan, if you're a Twins fan, what you ultimately want to see is the team that you lost to go and advance and at least make you feel a little bit better if that team wins. So anyways, it's a good outlook. I can't say that I'm excited to watch the games, but it is
interesting to see.
Yeah. If you're watching purely for watch good baseball, these are the teams that are playing the best right now. That makes these the best games that you can see right now. Yeah. I don't have a rooting interest at all, other than it's I think a better story to see a 22-year drought in Arizona probably end. And as a Twins fan and Vikings fan, long droughts are things that I would love to see. And for anyone, so I'll probably go that way. Jace, what do you think?
Man, I know you said you're taking Texas Rangers.
I said I'm going to root for the Diamondbacks if I'm going to have a rooting interest at all, just because they have a 22-year drought in the in championship.
I know you got a cool room. You could just kind of put it on one screen and just let it rock, so you could watch it in the background. I do know that.
Yeah.
B.
So yeah, of course I didn't watch any of the games, but I'm happy.
It was a good game yesterday.
Happy Houston lost. I'm not a Houston person, but I'm happy they lost. Dusty Baker, admittedly, I was rooting for Dusty Baker last year, but not this year. And looks like he's not going to manage again. So he left with his title. But Diamondbacks, again, if you asked me before the season started, or anybody that knows the least about baseball, who was going to be in the World Series this year, nobody would have said Texas and Arizona like you alluded to, Brian. I'm going to root for Texas because they've never won a World Series and they're in the AL West. I don't know what it is about when somebody from your division, whatever, goes to the championship, you root for them, or from your, conference or whatever. But I'm going to root for Texas. And though I don't know anybody on that team and I don't know anybody on the Arizona Diamondbacks, I'm going to root for the Rangers, only because I think I rooted for the Diamondbacks once, and that's because they were playing the Yankees, and I hate the Yankees. So I've seen them win a World Series, so I want to see Texas win one.
So I had an interesting take. So one of my coworkers, Tom Ashcraft, I work with, he shared this story with me. So his son was a part of the Granite Mountain Hotshots. You guys ever heard of them? So these guys
No, it sounds like it's something I should know, but I don't.
in Arizona, it was June 30th, 2013. You have 19 firefighters who go to fight this massive fire in the mountains of Arizona, right? Coming down on the city. These guys, brave guys, go up in the city to fight the fire, get caught in the middle of it, fire blankets and all that to try and cover it, but they get overtaken and these guys pass away. It was not exactly, but this was the 10-year anniversary or celebration of the lives of those men was this year. So Tom was sharing, his son was in the crew that passed away. Andrew, called him Stashcraft, shots out, was a part of this company. He shared that with me earlier this year as a guy who's on my team. And it's just been interesting. It's not lost on me that 10 years from now, they've actually talked to him and a lot of the families. They did like a real major celebration. A lot of the kids of the firefighters who perished spoke at the ceremony and just honored their fathers who perished. So it's very, I don't know, that kind of stuff is cool for me, kind of the human element when, I mean, it's not sports related, but to be, no one had the Diamondbacks doing this. They got, I don't want to use hot references in a situation like this, but they picked up steam in a lot of ways and just rolled all the way through 2 sweeps, coming back from down 0-2 to get here is kind of cool in relation to, to what that means for the people of Arizona from 10 years ago. So interesting, kind of just tie into the human element, but I think it's cool, man. I got to go with Arizona. I hope they win it.
Yeah, that's a great story. I actually, once you started talking about it, I remember the story from a while ago. But as good a reason as any to root in a World Series where we don't have any known allegiances. Might as well root for the good storyline.
Definitely, man. So definitely honor to those brave men who passed, their families. Diamondbacks, Rangers. I'll probably watch some of it. That game last night was great. Phillies gave it what they could.
Yeah, I'll be watching the games too.
Diamondbacks are balling. Pitchers were going nuts for the D-backs at the end of the game, and close it out. So, I'm not a huge baseball fan until right now. So this is when I'll probably start watching. So yeah, cool, man. So that's MLB. Got to give a shout out to that. NBA started as well. We had our first games yesterday. The Lakers have already lost the championship. The Nuggets have already won one. The Warrior fans, same thing. Like a lot of people, I'm here. So their football team and their basketball team lost this week. Everybody's ready to fall out. I'm like, man, it's fine. Both teams will be fine. Trust me. It's early in the seasons for both. But basketball, man, just quick thoughts. We ain't gonna go super deep. Kind of what are you guys thinking?
Quick hitters for me. I'm interested in seeing Phoenix. I don't know what was up with Bradley Beal. He didn't play.
Back spasms.
Oh, I thought it was load management first game of the year. But yeah,
back spasms.
I mean, just personally, my personal feeling about Phoenix, I don't think we're going to see Booker, Durant, and Beal play much together this season. I think they might play more in the playoffs. I don't know if that late cohesion in the season is going to work. And the reason why I don't think they're all going to play too much is because they're all pretty much, they need the ball to score. They don't really do anything else but score. I know Durant does a little bit more. He rebounds and plays defense, but
it's kind of good.
Very good. But I don't think that, they're going to play much together. That's just my personal opinion. I didn't expect the Lakers to beat Denver in Denver on ring night. I just didn't expect that.
Kind of did, man. Teams lose those games, but I don't think Denver was going to be.
I didn't think Denver.
Just talking to them.
I just think it means too much for Denver. So I never thought that they were going to they're going to lose that game. For Portland, I don't think they're going to be good. I just think they're going to have a really bad record. That's just my personal opinion. They might sneak up and make the play-in game, whatever. But I just don't think they'll be good this season. I think Orlando is a sneaky team to look out for to make a late playoff push and probably get into the play-in game. And then lastly, I'm interested in seeing if New Orleans can get what's his name, Zion and Ingram, and I think they got another guy, McCollum, if they can play a lot of games together, because it'll be interesting to see. I think they only play some crazy number 15 or 20 games together or whatever. And you would think if they played more, they might be able to maybe get a 4th or 5th seed or even 3rd seed in the West, depending on how good they gel. So I'm interested in looking at them, and those are a couple of quick hitters for me. What about you, Brian?
So I'll talk about all the team by team stuff when we do the show, but a couple of quick thoughts was just one, everyone needs to slow down with the overreaction. There's a reason why they put these 4 teams on opening night and only these 4 teams. Right. It's because these are 4 teams that everyone has huge expectations for. 2 of them had to lose, 2 of them had to win. I don't think the Warriors are out of the playoffs because they lost their first game. I don't think the Lakers are out of the the playoffs because they lost their first game, and I don't think Denver or Phoenix has cemented their Western Conference final matchup just because they both won their first games. That's what
100%.
those matchups are designed to do, is to get intrigue, to get people to watch. I'm glad everyone watched it. But man, has the overreaction been crazy. Even in our group chat, it was, AD's not going to be able to take over for LeBron.
Yep.
LeBron needs to play more minutes. It was just these massive overreactions based off of 22 minutes of time where LeBron clearly played less and played more of a facilitator role, although he still was very efficient. And AD obviously didn't outplay the Joker, which a lot of people were expecting him to do in his bout to become the defensive player of the year. That's the part that I could say definitively right now is everyone needs to slow way down on the overreaction.
Literally day one.
Exactly. It was literally day one. From outside of the team by team aspect, this is a little bit impactful, but I'm just curious as to see what some of these teams are going to do when all of these player movement, which hasn't settled down yet, right? Like, we don't know where Harden's going to be. The team told him to not show up for their first game tomorrow. They said to stay away from it. To me, that sounds like they must be closer to moving him on than making him come in. I mean, you don't tell star players on their opening night to show up, show up unless you've committed to the fact that he's going to go away. So
he's done.
And if you're a team that's going to be paying him as much money as he's going to be making, you are then committed to moving him on as soon as possible. This isn't going to go on weeks or months. This is going to be a matter of a week or so, maybe days, before we see where his landing destination is going to be. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation that that's going to be the Clippers, but the Clippers are apparently looking at 2 or 3 different things. And then there's all types of talk about whether or not Paul George ends up in the Knicks by the end of the season. We'll see if that happens.
They got a stadium. They better do something to sell some tickets because they ain't gonna win no championship.
100%.
That stadium looks fabulous too. The Clippers.
For the Clippers? Oh, they got it's open now?
Not yet, but it looks fabulous.
Okay.
It's right over by SoFi.
It's gonna be nice.
And then there's other storylines, like Miles Bridges, who was out all last season, was suspended for 30 games, but because he didn't sign for a team, the NBA gave him credit for 20 of those games, so he's got to sit out the first 10. But it's his first time playing since the allegations about him came out, and he obviously lost the season to that. And he was a rising star, if you want to call it. I don't know if he was star level, but he was a rising player, and people were excited about his arc. Well, now he's back on the scene for Charlotte as well, and that's another piece. So there's a lot of those kind of storylines. Jimmy didn't get his player. Is he going to be able to come out and take a team, literally muscle a team with his own willpower? I'll tell you, he tried hard today. 8 offensive rebounds today. That is a hell of a way to start the season. Guess what they did? They won 103-102. And when you're small forward, shooting guard, I don't really think it was power forward, although he's listed there sometimes, goes out and gets 8 offensive rebounds. That's an impressive start for the season. So it's those personal storylines. I want to see what's going to happen at center position in Cleveland with Jared Allen and the rookie, no longer the rookie, but the other star player who's there. Can't believe I'm blanking on the name, but just really excited about seeing all these kind of the storylines related to the NBA as they start to transpire, and it'll be exciting.
Coop, you had yours, right?
Yeah, I am on. Yep.
I'm sorry, bro.
You good?
My bad. So I'm curious about Wemby. Had his first game today. They lost. He had. What did he do? Where's player stats at?
Mobley. I don't know why I had that brain fart, but Evan Mobley.
Oh man,
playing
from SoCal. The Mobley brothers, right?
Jared Allen is the other. There's 2 really good centers in Jared Allen and Evan Mobley.
Wembley 15-5-2 first game. Saw his first bucket. So that was cool. Not at all. Want to see them. I want to obviously see Dame and Giannis. Giannis, that was going to be my hogwash, but I'm going to say it now. Him talking about, first time I'd signed my contract without looking at the numbers because I wanted to be here. And, Dame.
Who said that?
Giannis, bro.
Oh, okay.
Talking about,
really?
First,
it's
first
real
time
easy not to look when it's all over the news every 35 seconds. I was playing golf when he signed it, and I got 5 alerts.
Come on, man. And I like Giannis. It isn't about that. It was just like, bro, I get what you're doing and I respect it, but come on, man. Yeah, and getting Dame and the new coach is cool. They're bonuses, but I really just want to be in Milwaukee. Like, man, I feel you, bro. And you've been there and they drafted you, and yes, loyalty, and I respect it. But let's not pretend like you weren't getting big bread to be there for these next year. It wasn't take 10,000 and just hang out with us.
That's not loyalty. It was money.
Yeah, that's he loyalty. Stayed. You can. Hey, Harden's getting pushed out of another
186
team.
over 3 years.
I didn't know either, but I know it's stupid cheese. So it was just funny to hear it. I'm not mad. I get the concept. I was just like, bro, that's hogwash, man. I'd have just been like, I'm glad to be here. I love you guys. Can't wait to play. Let me coming out here with that. But anyway, curious about that. Obviously, the Lakers. I want to see what AD is going to do. I've seen AD kind of not show up in a lot of big games, especially second halves when you kind of need him. So I'm very curious to see how that plays out because he just signed an extension too. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, the young Kings. I want to see if they can build on last year's success. I'm actually kind of excited about basketball this year. I can't even lie. I watched the Celtics and Knicks today. Watched the Lakers yesterday. Watched part of the Warriors.
See what happens. Can I quote you real quick, Glenn?
Oh, God. Go ahead.
1 year ago, right around now, you're like, I don't give a darn about the NBA. It's football season. And until football season. So I wonder if your point of view this year has something to do with your team, my team, all our teams.
They were bad last year. So it ain't that. It's I think it's, I don't know, just more intrigue for me.
You just think it's more interesting this year.
Plus the way that it ramped up for us last year, like we started watching more of the season at the end. Coop, you and I went and watched, went out Buffalo Wild Wings, etc. Watched some games. I don't know. It kind of got me a little bit back into it. So I'm excited to see what happens. We'll see. Check in on me next month.
Real quick, both of y'all, who's your favorite out the East? Is it Boston or Milwaukee?
It's never Boston. There's no chance it's ever Boston. I just can't as a Laker. Even if every other team doesn't play, I'm still picking.
What about you, Brian?
I'm taking Milwaukee.
Well, I actually do think it's Milwaukee for Milwaukee reasons. The difficult part for Milwaukee has always been having a go-to guy who can make free throws. You didn't have to worry about getting fouled and choking at the line and coming up with big shots. And as you mentioned, Middleton was never that guy.
But a great third, though.
But yeah, 100%.
Man.
And I like the way they put this team together. But if nobody is Dame when it comes to those types of moments, and nobody wants it more than him.
Absolutely.
The same way Jimmy Butler willed his team into the NBA. Dame could do that if he had even a little bit of talent on his team. And now he's got maybe the most talented player in the league in Giannis on his
best team. Roster he's been on for sure.
Yeah, I really want to say Milwaukee, but the one thing that scares me about them is the same thing that scares me about the Lakers, but more of the Lakers in Milwaukee is just their age. They're getting a little old. So that's the only thing that scares me. So that's why I say Boston now. Now check with me. Second half of the season might be different.
I can't. They failed. They failed on me.
And I haven't, like I said, we're not going to talk about all the team by team stuff for next week, but just gut feeling. I really like what they did. I mean, and Giannis is not concerned about the 62 million, 186 years. 62 million a year that breaks out to. You didn't have to look at those numbers.
Yeah.
Me neither. I'm telling you now.
Now you know you're rich. You don't have to look at the numbers anymore.
Yeah, y'all give me one of those.
I look at numbers.
Okay.
All the time.
And Boston just too many times we pick them and they're like, a team.
Oh yeah, they fail. And I'm not mad they
fail.
Team
in Los Angeles that keeps getting picked and never does anything. So they'll stay unnamed. I will say this. I think I figured out my Doc Rivers hate. I figured it out this week.
You had a breakthrough?
I did. I was just thinking about it the other day. So, Doc, obviously, very talented NBA player. Wish him the best in his family. I said that, but I was always like F Doc Rivers because he never comes through. The only time he did come through was against the Lakers with the Celtics.
See, I wouldn't really say that to him, but go ahead. I really wouldn't say that.
Either way, they won a championship against the Lakers, and that hurts. That's the only time he ever did it.
They clearly had the better team.
He managed a lot of egos on that team.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
And they clearly had the better team. He didn't manage a lot of egos, but when
that's
it comes
fine,
to
Coop.
When it comes to
care how it
Lakers, I get you, but when it comes to Celtics
care
and
how
Lakers,
it happens. You need to lose.
I hear you. No, I'm with you. No,
I know where I was. I was in Atlanta too, so I had to go to sleep because I had to work. I couldn't even watch the games. Oh man,
I'm with you, but I mean, if you got Vladimir Radmanovic guarding Paul Pierce, you can't think that's going to turn out good. I'm just saying.
I knew it wouldn't, but still, that's the only time Doc could figure it out. Every other time they fumble, losing 3-0 leads, all kind of stuff. Then they play us. It's the one time they get it.
Oh, don't worry.
We did get him back the next year, but still.
Right.
I was going to say, that moment, though, is what propelled Kobe to go Kobe.
Right.
And that was great. I remember watching that with my dad, and shout out to Tommy Eds. Yeah. But yeah, I figured that out. I was like, oh, that's why I don't like Doc as a basketball coach, man. Shout out to, I wish no ill will to anybody outside of the sports world, right? So cool. Yeah, so I'm curious, man, to see how the season plays out. Also, the in-season tournament, I'm really interested to see like what that means and what that does and how that even looks.
How it looks, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to be presented. They're trying to make a March Madness situation, and I'm just very curious about how it plays out. I don't know that I'm going to watch it all. But
why would I'm sure we'll talk about it, but why wouldn't they do it the same way the NCAA does it with a bunch of preseason tournaments? You start off with a tournament. Right? You have the NITs, you have the Hawaii tournaments, you have the Puerto Rico tournament in the NCAA, and then you play the season, and then you have a tournament at the end.
Yeah,
it's kind of neat to see how things shake out when you have theoretically most of your players healthy at the beginning of the season, and how trades and all that kind of stuff. I don't get the mid-season thing. I'm interested and intrigued. I'll of course watch, but with a judgmental eye, probably.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm curious about how it plays out. Exactly. So word. All right. So any last minute NBA thoughts?
No, I'm good.
I think we're sliding over college football. I don't know if y'all had any reference to anything this week.
No, not much. I mean, obviously, I got to watch the last minute kick field goal to see USC lose.
Wow.
The only thing I would comment about that game is I thought both teams played really well. Utah had a perfect strategy. They actually have film of it now. Every single time that USC did any type of a substitution, they automatically subbed out their biggest guy and basically told him to walk because you get enough time to sub out a player. If you sub out a player, you're not allowed to hike the ball. That completely slowed down the game. It reduced the number of snaps by something like 20%.
Oh, wow.
For a team that needed to play up tempo in SC, which they had a lot of difficulty doing because of Utah's plans.
That's slick.
That was Kyle Whittingham playing chess. In that game. I mean,
strategery.
That was strategery, exactly. Look, they were out coached. That's for certain. I don't know that they were out talented, but ultimately Utah won. Congratulations to them. It'll be really interesting to see the next one.
Yeah, shout out to Kyle.
Man, I saw UCLA smoke Stanford. I didn't look, but I just saw the score now. Jeez, 42-7.
Is that the same Stanford team that beat Colorado?
They got smoked. 42-7.
I gave a shout out to Kyle Whittingham, man, because a couple of years ago, Oregon was the toast of the town, and they beat Oregon in the regular season and beat them again in the championship game, Pac-12 championship game. And they played USC last year, beat USC in the regular season. It was a great championship game, but they beat them in the championship game, put up 45, and now they just beat USC again. Kyle Whittingham I don't think a lot of players in that Utah team are going to go pro like at USC, maybe more from USC, especially the quarterback.
Always, yeah.
Kyle Whittingham is an outstanding coach. He's a really, really good coach, and they have to be the favorite in the Big 12 when they go next year because Oklahoma and Texas are leaving.
You think he's available for pro jobs or not?
No, I don't think he's a pro coach.
He knows where he wants to be.
Right. Okay. I don't think he's a pro. Just because you win in college doesn't necessarily make you a professional coach. You know what I mean?
It's fine. Coach I have, he ain't one in the pros either. So I just give me somebody. Whatever you got.
All good.
Yeah, but it's going to be interesting this week. Yeah, USC at Cal. I expect USC to win this game and keep trying to run up the score. They're only favored by 11. But I fully expect that they're going to try and win that game.
It doesn't hurt you that Lincoln Riley's not coaching because he has an illness. It doesn't hurt you. You don't think that hurts?
No, because one, I have an issue sometimes with Lincoln Riley trying to be a little too passive early on in games, and then they get to that point where then they need to have Caleb open it up. I fully expect that they're going to have Caleb is just going to throw and throw and throw. They're not even going to pretend like they're trying to establish balance. That's my guess.
Damn, this would have been
so I do think it'll be interesting to see if they can do that, because SC clearly needs to have a huge win coming off of 2 losses, not just a win, especially since they're playing Cal, who's 3-4.
We could have went to this game, Coop.
Which one? Cal SC?
Yeah.
Yeah, now they think about it. Yeah. Cal is just not on my radar. I'm sorry. I forgot. Yeah.
And then I'm also rooting for UCLA to beat the Dickens out of Colorado, because
every week. Yeah, we know how you do. All right, that's a way to.
Colorado might not win another game, but yeah, that's another story.
Hey, maybe. Hey, the one thing that I also think that was interesting that came out this week is that there will indeed be a 2-team Pac-12 next season. They're not moving before then, and they're trying to do schedule alignment with the Mountain West. But the Pac-12 will only have 2 teams next season, and that is now official as of Tuesday.
Interesting.
I don't know what's going to happen because they're tied in about 6 or 7 bowl games. So I don't know how that's going to happen when they're not going to have 6 or 7 teams to put placed in those bowls. But I guess we'll see how it happens.
And if you win the Pac-12, do you get a Rose Bowl bid?
Right, exactly, right. That part. Yeah, I don't think so. Don't you have to have like a 10 or 12 team minimum to participate in that thing? But we can look at that later.
You don't have to have a win. You have to win the Pac-12 and you have to be bowl eligible, which I think is just 6 wins on the season. And because they're going to do schedule alignment with the Mountain West, 6 wins is not impossible for either of those teams.
I'm going to have to look it up because I thought you had to have 12 teams in your conference to do it. But yeah, that'll be interesting.
All right. So shifting to the league, I think my thought process, guys, is let's talk about the games last week that we're interested in. Then we'll talk about my team and then your team since they played.
No. Let's talk about my team. Because we got issues. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me
produce the show. I'm here.
I'm about to take it from the 49er side.
Hold on. I'm putting myself on mute. I'll talk to you in a minute.
There you go.
The only thing good about this game, everybody, is that it went under the total because I advertised this as a play. That's the only thing that went good. This game I think it was worse than Cleveland, to be perfectly honest with you. And I knew that we lost this game when they gave up that touchdown at the end of the first half, something you never saw with a D'Amico Ryans defense, to blitz like that and have nobody in the back where the guy tried to go for the interception. That's cool. Usually you have somebody back there to clean that up. There was nobody back there. Minnesota receiver made a great play, scored a touchdown. That was the game right there. But the biggest issue, and that includes the biggest issue on our team, is the defense. We can't stop a screen pass. We couldn't stop it against Cleveland. Couldn't stop it against Minnesota. The run defense, didn't matter if it was Ernest Johnson last week, Madison, or whoever his backup is, who I just found out who he is because he gashed us a couple times, or anybody. Everybody's gashing our run defense this year. And I got to give I got to give props to Kevin O'Connell because he pretty much worked our new defense coordinator, Steve Wilkes. 49ers were routinely out of position. And technically, Wilkes, if you watch the game, you could tell he didn't have a clue what was coming because there was a 10-play drive early in the game where the Vikings had a 10-play scoring drive. And I would have thought at that time that Wilkes would have made necessary adjustments, but that didn't happen. It seemed like the Vikings were just recycling the same passing plays, and they kept always working. I think it's an issue with San Francisco. They have too many highly paid defensive players to not be producing. And Kirk Cousins looked like Tom Brady. It was absolutely no pass rush he had to fear. Offensive line did a great job, but there was no pass rush that he had to fear, and he was just cooking our defense. I think he had 378 yards or 400 some yards against us. With the Bengals coming to town and Purdy in concussion protocol, because on that quarterback sneak, Purdy got his head rocked. And that very next pass play, and that very next pass play, he threw a way off target pass that was intercepted, way off target. And then he threw another interception late in the game as well. He's in concussion protocol. Most likely he's not going to play. Sam Darnold's going to start. But whether Sam Darnold or Purdy starts next week, if we can't stop Justin Jefferson less. Minnesota Vikings offense, we don't have a damn chance against slightly. Kirk Cousins definitely isn't a bad quarterback. He's a good quarterback, but he's not better than Joe Burrow. We got Joe Burrow, we got Chase, you got Higgins, you got all those offensive pieces coming to town. That's going to be another L for the 49ers next week. I'm already calling it, whether Purdy or Sam Darnold starts that game. You knew it was bad when Christian McCaffrey was running as if he didn't want to get tackled in his obliques in his stomach area, which lets you know right there he was still hurt.
Heck yeah.
He ended up fumbling the ball. Why he's out there, I don't know. There's another capable running back named Jordan Mason that could have played. But of course, Shanahan just loves McCaffrey so much. But, a good win by the Vikings. And from the Vikings side, if you want to get rid of Kirk Cousins, now is the time to do it because he just torched the 49ers on national TV. If you want to try to get anything for him, if you don't have any plans to re-sign him, you might want to get rid of him right now because he has his highest value than it ever will be because he's going to revert back to Kirk Cousins sometime very soon this season. So personally, if I'm the Vikings, I don't know if you really want to give him a 3-year extension, but at the same time, who do you have better than him? I don't think you could find nobody better than him. Maybe you can, but he played well last week. We just got our butts whooped. We're not playing well. The 49ers is not a good team right now, in my opinion. And I think the main reason is because our defensive coordinator just can't figure out our defense and teams are just gashing it. Plus, I've read Shanahan, I think he's 0-38 or 0-36 when trailing by 8 points or more in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's hard to come back.
Never really comes back. But the reason why he doesn't come back is the way his team is built. His team is built around him and his system. That's the problem. He believes in him and his system so much, but the problem is when you're down by so much, you run the ball 50 million times, you throw passes, 20, 25 times, whatever. You get into a rhythm. It's not working. He doesn't bail. He keeps doing the same thing. You get down so much, and then you got to try to change your game plan in the fourth quarter. I mean, that's hard to do instead of making those adjustments earlier in the game. That's my theory on why he has such a bad record. And also, he doesn't want to pay the quarterback that much money. I mean, let's be honest. Purdy is good. He's not very good. He's not special, but he's good. He's good. So, I mean, but he ain't there
Brian,
yet, of course.
I wish I could. If you don't usually watch the show, please watch this one because Brian is the footage is great. And Coop, you got to mute too, man, because this was fabulous.
Oh, I'm just saying. I mean, we lost the game. Minnesota whipped our butt. I mean, that's all I can say. I mean, I ain't got nothing to say. We lost and played bad. And part of that, because the reason we played bad is because the other team. That's why. But go ahead, Brian.
Yeah.
I've taken myself off of mute.
Wow.
Anyways, look, first things first, we both picked this game the exact same way. We both picked the Vikings to beat the spread and San Francisco 49ers to find a way to beat them in a close game. We were both wrong in that the Vikings actually found a way to win this game. I agree with you wholeheartedly that Christian McCaffrey clearly looked injured and probably should not have played this game. If you were going to play this game, you're darn sure not trying to run him up the middle, up the gut, because there's no way to avoid injuries to the midsection when you're or injuries, but hits to the midsection when you're trying to go up the middle like that. He had a big play and ran for a really nice touchdown off of the pass play. And that was up to the outside where speed was still fine. He could get away from people. He could avoid people. And that brings me to this, right? They had 2 touchdowns, both of which were McCaffrey. If you go back a couple of weeks and you listen to our show, the one thing that I was talking about, and I think Glenn was talking about, is that this team is too McCaffrey dependent. And if he can't win the games, right, then the team is losing. And Purdy, by virtue of having had a kind of perfect record to a certain extent up until this point, was getting a lot more of the accolades than I felt he deserved and some other people felt that he deserved because the record, right? He had the record. That's great, but he has not, this was Glenn's point, he has not shown yet that in a situation where he needs to do something to win the game, that he can do it. In both instances, all of his offense has come through McCaffrey. McCaffrey's been banged up and hurt these last couple of weeks. Therefore, they've got a couple of losses. This was part of the reason why when we were talking during our preseason show or our season opening show, I said definitively, I don't know. I don't think the 49ers are going to be a bad team. I do think they're going to make the playoffs. I do think they're probably going to still win their division, but I don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl. And I think that's because when it all comes down to it, they have to be one-dimensional when it comes to McCaffrey. I don't agree or disagree with what Coop was saying about the defense. I still think that they are a good defense, a better defense than most people have. Damn sure better than the Vikings have.
Damn sure better than we got.
Whether or not they have too much money invested in that makes perfect sense to me, right? When you put as much money into one side of the ball as San Francisco has, you have to expect dominance every single time because that is where all your value is. But we'll see. Now let's talk about the Vikings real quick because they got a lot of things going on. The first thing is that even if they wanted to trade Cousins has already said he won't be traded. And that was because he and his family. He has to be in on the trade because of the way his contract works. So Cousins is not going anywhere. But I do think that what we're going to find out over the next couple of weeks is whether or not they're going to need to give Cousins a new deal. And here's what I mean by that. I do not think that there's any quarterback that's going to come out of college, and I've taken flack from friends and stuff on this, other than Caleb Williams, who can come into a team like the Vikings and perform at the level they need soon enough to make a career out of Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson, to some extent Osborne, now even Brandon Powell, who looked really well in this game. And I think that's the priority. I think if you're the GM of the Vikings, you want to make this stretch of 4 or 5 years that you have Addison, Hawkinson, and Jefferson at their prime. You want to make something out of that. Whichever quarterback gives you the best opportunity to do that. I am not a Kirk Cousins lover, but I do think that if they win a few of these games coming up and his stock is where it is and they played themselves out of being able to get a Caleb or even, I think in some people's mind Drake May, but it's not mine, but they played themselves out of the ability to get those two quarterbacks. I think that the right decision is to sign Cousins to another 3-year deal and go with that, because Cousins is not the guy who's going to win you games, but he's the guy who can deliver the ball with some level of consistency to the people who can win you the games in Jefferson and Addison. Yeah. Now we're at a very weird point. We're going to talk about, I don't know, I'll talk about it right now. We're at a very weird point with the Minnesota Vikings. They are not so last year I said this ad nauseum, they're not as good as their record looks. This year I said they're not as bad as they look. But now they've played themselves by accident by, playing close with the Chiefs and then, getting lucky and beating the 49ers, where they have a legit chance to be in the conversation. I'm not going to predict they're going to make the playoffs. They play a losing Packers team. They play a winning Falcons team that's probably a little bit better than them, but they're not great and they can be beat.
Yep.
Then they play the Saints, the Broncos, the Bears, the Raiders, and the Bengals, which are just 500.
All winnable
I'm not
games.
commenting on any of those teams individually, but that stretch of record right there, they could win a large majority of those games. And then they get Detroit twice in 3 weeks with the Packers in the middle. It's very hard to beat the same team twice over a 3-week period of time. And so there's a possibility that they could split with a Lions team that's probably better than them, but because of circumstances, they could get a split right there. If they could get that split and beat the Packers twice over the course of the season because they're just not as good, and it's a long break between, weird things could happen. And I think that go ahead, Jason.
No. I was going to say, I totally agree with you. I was going to bring up that point about the schedule. They can reel off some wins. And, they play a bunch of bad. You think about it. Look at these bad quarterbacks they play. You have a quarterback advantage. You got a quarterback advantage over the Packers,
Ritter,
the Falcons. Carr ain't playing well right now. Russell Wilson's not playing well.
All them games.
You got a bunch of bad quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just, even if you go 1-1 against the Lions and you lose to the Bengals, I mean, that's only 2 losses, and it could be a bunch of wins right there. So you can reel off a lot.
You're going to lose one more of those that you don't expect, but even then, that's a lot of wins.
But still, and like Brian said, they're going to play themselves out of getting one of the top quarterbacks where you might be forced to have to keep Cousins, who's not bad, but you might want something better, but he ain't great, but he's definitely not bad. You can do a whole lot worse.
Yeah.
Just two more quick. Oh, go ahead.
There's no way you cannot argue to me that Cousins at this point in time in his career isn't going to be better for the team. I'm not saying he's a great quarterback. Better for the team than the rookie who's the Michigan quarterback. In my opinion, Drake May, and any of these other guys who are going to be available, behind them.
Yeah.
Still a rookie, got to get ramped up. Yeah.
Yeah. Two quick 49er points on your McCaffrey dependent. I agree. The game plan is too centralized over McCaffrey. I wish that, Shanahan wouldn't do it, but it seems like he's hell bent on doing that. And also, secondly, which people are not really talking about, but could be an issue, is our kicker keeps missing kicks. He made a 55-yarder, but he misses the routine kicks, and the routine kicks are what you're going to have more of.
I cut him in my fantasy teams.
Yeah, he's missed 3 out of his last 4 kicks. And he was highly drafted, and we got rid of a very reliable kicker. So I don't know. I think if you ask me, I think he's lost a little bit of confidence. I don't think you just gain that back after making 2 kicks straight. I think it takes a while for that. So I don't know if it's in his head or whatever, because I think we all remember that kicker that got drafted, I think in the first round by either Tampa Bay, I believe it was, and he was out of the league in a couple of years because he just couldn't make kicks. It was too much for him. And so,
gone now. He got cut. Joseph from the Vikings did the same thing. I don't think he makes the season. He was the head case last season, and then he cost him 10 points.
It's a mental thing to kick. Yeah,
it almost happened to Daniel Carlson. Don't get it twisted. He just got picked up on the Raiders and ended up being good. But
it's a mental thing with the kicker. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think we're gonna lose to the Bengals though, 5-3. But go ahead.
Very good points.
Yeah. So, anyways, it's not very easy. It is plausible to see how the Vikings can get to 10-7. 11-6, and be in the conversation. And then we also, I'm sure we're about to talk about it, we also have to see what happens with the Lions, because everyone's got a plan until they get punched. Well, Lions got punched. And so now we got to see what happens with them.
They get to play
we'll talk about that.
They get to play Bishop Sycamore next week. So they'll be just fine. You got the best team ever to bounce back against for the Lions.
Hey, I hope you wasn't offended against that text I sent when I put $18.20 on the Chicago Bears. I just had to put something on it.
Oh, I didn't.
I just had to. I just had to.
So real quick before we get to the Raiders, my thoughts, pretty much everything you guys said, I thought was spot on. All I had ever said, the one thing I really had was I kept saying I wanted to see Purdy in a struggle situation to see how he'd act. I didn't know it was all going to happen at the same week when I said it. He was down and lost all the star players that I said he was relying on. And kind of what I thought would happen kind of did, which I think is still good for you guys. I think the first game he did get you guys in field goal range, kicker mixed the kick. I can't put that all in the kick because, my thing is always if we're only
we lost.
Yeah. If you're close enough to lose by a kick, if he was up 15 points, that wouldn't have mattered. Right. So I'm always going to do that. So that's fine. But he did what he had to do. The last game, he looked like a regular quarterback. It was the end of the game. Everybody knew he had to pass. He was trying to force it into spots. He threw picks. It's the same thing everybody got on for Jimmy for. Same thing you get on every quarterback for. Carr. Anybody we don't like, it's the same thing that happens when you're in pressure situations. You're trying to force the ball. You want to make something happen bad. Man, we've done it in Madden. We did it on the football field as kids. Like, it just happens. Everybody can't, you can't make everything perfect all the time. I think it's great because now, Coop, and I was saying this, you've kind of, I know you try and be objective. It's going to be hard when it's your team, but I've noticed, I listen to the talk radio now, and it's all, I'm in the Bay. So I'm hearing Niners, Giants. And I'm listening every week. 2 weeks ago, it was, this team is amazing. This defense is crazy. I can't believe it. They're calling Brock AI. He just doesn't get rattled. Whoop, whoop. Now it's, Shanahan's not calling the best games, and Steve Wilkes isn't the best defensive coordinator. They've been getting gashed. I mean, the wins weren't that big. It's just all of that
the run has been getting gashed, but I hear you. But go ahead. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, all that to say, I think this is good for Purdy and the team because now Purdy gets to feel what it's like to be quarterback of a team with championship aspirations. Yeah, you're not just the golden boy. Now they're like, mate, you're trash. I'm being facetious and over talking it, but you got Niner fans, of course, fanatics, right? That's what fans short for. You got people who are ready to get rid of him, people who wanted him for MVP last week, and everything in between. And I think this is good because now he gets to face all that and see what it's like and build on it. You get to see who he's going to be going
if he's
forward.
going to develop into the guy that some people think that he
100%.
can be, this has to happen.
Well, this is the
Exactly.
thing. To win that game against the Vikings required special. He's not special.
Yes.
At least not yet.
He's not
special. He may be, he might.
Exactly.
But I'm not predicting that because special is a rare category. He's good. He's not very good. He's not special. And that's what that game required. He's not there. So, and I'm okay with that. I mean, he's not there.
And you could have
starts.
Your tune. I know a lot of what I heard, right? And I'm not calling anyone. It's just I heard he was MVP. He's great. He's going to be this and that. And now he's better than Jimmy.
People compared him to Montana. People were saying that these guys like Montana. I'm like, whoa, hold on now.
Bro, I'm here. So
hold on.
I think what Brian said is exactly it. To be who you want him to be, even if he's not the greatest quarterback ever, if he's a good, solid quarterback for years, you still need this. And to me, you want it now, not at the end of the season,
right?
Not in the first round of the playoffs where you're gone. You want it right now. You want to come and face a good Bengals team next, which is great. You don't want to play some scrubs. You want to, if you beat the Bengals, you beat the Bengals in a real game. Without all my star players, you really bounce back. So I think this is great. And I think the team will be fine.
Jason, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If Brock Purdy became Kirk Cousins, everyone always talks about every
quarterback.
If he became Kirk Cousins, right? He developed into that guy. Good.
Right.
Not special.
Right.
Good. Can throw for 378 yards and touchdowns and all that kind of stuff.
Winning some games.
San Francisco fans might not be happy with that result because they want someone who's a superstar all the time with their quarterback situation.
Right. Campaign superstar.
Wouldn't that be pretty darn good with all that talent that they have on that team?
So, Brian, that's a good question because to be perfectly honest with you, I know people are overly optimistic when all these guys first get drafted, 5 first-round quarterbacks, but we all know only one of them most likely is going to be good. So if you have a quarterback that's good, that's a good thing. That's why I don't really dog Kirk Cousins. You know what I mean? That's why I always say he's better than Dak. I don't think Dak is any good. I think Kirk is good. Now, special, that's rarefied air, man. That's about 3 or 4 quarterbacks. You'd be lucky to get special. Yeah. And I'm not expecting Brock Purdy to be special.
Mahomes and Burrows are the next.
Right.
And we thought Herbert, and it ain't true.
Lamar for sure put his bid in, but go ahead.
Yeah. So, like I said, good. To be honest with you, Brian, I'll be happy with good. Of course, I would want more, but I'll be happy with good because it's not a lot of good in the NFL. It's just not.
Honest.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
So speaking of not a lot of
tier 2, let's just call it this way.
If he's tier 2, gotta be happy. Gotta be. Yeah.
Speaking of not good in the NFL, let's go ahead and transition. The best thing I did this season was decide I'm going to play golf on Sundays and watch the game on my phone, watch Red Zone or the game on my phone. I have the ticket. I'm able to watch the game. That has been the best thing that's happened to me. I'm seeing what's happening. I'm seeing they're down, to this Bears team and Tyson Badgett and looking stupid. And I'm hitting okay golf shots. You know what I mean? I'm shooting.
Yeah, your golf game's improving.
I'm playing all right. Yeah, I'm playing cool. It's fall golf is good. These guys are a train wreck. Now, the rest of our division besides the Chiefs is also a train wreck. And this is, again, why I'm always mad at y'all, because you pick this 3 train wrecks and y'all like, well, y'all the train wreckiest. Pick anybody else. But anyway, because we're still at second, I think, because the Chargers can't figure it out. The Broncos are terrible, and we're bad enough, but somehow I don't know what's going on. They're terrible. It doesn't make sense to me. McDaniels, it's just proof. He's shown too many times that he's not good, man. He just can't. I don't understand. Like, I know I always talk about Madden, right? It's a video game. It's jokes. But if you just look at ratings and the players on that team, like literally I go in with Jimmy and everybody, and you can run crossers and you see who's open and you just throw the ball. And then you run with Josh Jacobs to the side and then you throw it again. And you can kind of score at ease. Now, it's a video game. I get that. The point is, dude is supposed to be this offensive tactician, etc. Let everyone else run the rest of the team, call the offensive plays then. And what are you doing? We can't score points. You have all these players. I know players are getting frustrated. My biggest, not really fear, but concern is that, you're not too far from players wanting out, right? And then people start asking for trades and, that we got big contracts on the books. Some people could absorb them maybe. Mike, the thought is, can a Devontae or a Max Crosby or somebody go to a contender who can absorb the contract? Yeah, they move some stuff around. Often you end up on that second tier team because they have the cap space. But that's my biggest concern right now is just keeping the players. And a lot of it's for Madden because they're not doing anything on the field. I think we're going to have to end the concept of Mark Davis not having bread and he can't pay. And the Raiders are the highest ticket in the league. They're making $90 million in NFL revenue, $70 million in NFL revenue, $90 million in off-field revenue, both highest in the league. Just crazy amounts of bread coming in. Owns the Aces. Like, he's got enough to get rid of this guy if he chooses. I just don't know if he wants to admit that he was wrong this early, but he's definitely wrong. McDaniels ain't it. The offense, the team is not as bad as this record has showed for 2 years with Carr, with whoever. The boy's bad. He's terrible. And I'm glad I'm playing golf on Sundays and just watching them in the background.
Yeah, sometimes with coaches, you can see it early. And I said last year, Josh McDaniels is just
it's two stints now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing. Like, you can't.
I know Brian caught it with Hackett real early last year. I caught it with Josh McDaniels. It's just like, it just ain't working.
It's not working, man.
Yeah.
Warren Sapp said an interesting thing. He said that he's trying to rebuild a system that doesn't exist anymore. The Patriot way is gone.
Right.
And he doesn't have the credentials to do so.
No, he doesn't have the cachet to do it. Yeah.
He's going to run his team to the ground like he did the Broncos. And I thought that was very astute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought everything that Sapp said was astute. I generally think he's a little bit uncooked, but yeah.
I don't mind that.
Were
spot on.
Were spot on.
He kind of knows football a little bit. Yeah, he does know football.
The Bears, probably the things that I saw that were most alarming. Players talking about the Bears called out every offensive play they were going to run when they're on the field. Like, the Bears defense was like, oh, they're going to run this, they're going to run that. And they were right. Mm-hmm. I don't know how that's not disheartening to your offense. And that I saw Cole Kmet in interviews on a podcast with some Bears podcast with some guys. And he said, he's basically saying like, yo, Tyson Bagent can throw it. I'm looking at the game plan for the week and I'm thinking I'm gonna get a ton of passes. And then we get out there and his words were, we're beating them to a pulp. So we didn't even have to pull those plays out.
Damn.
So apparently Bagent is better than, we thought. And I think you often win when you're a quarterback. There's not a lot of film on. You're kind of you can come in and do some things, but it sounds like they had more.
Well, GB, he did throw for 159 touchdown passes in college, so he has to be able to throw at least a little bit. I know it was D2. I know it was D2, but still, that's a lot.
To me, that's fine. You still did it, but they just ran all over us. We just
right.
We didn't have it.
Yeah, you don't have to.
It was and that 5.6 average that Bagent have is not special.
No, not at all.
It was bad, man.
But when you're running like that, I mean, I don't think you really even got to throw the ball downfield. But here's the problem for the Bears, though. They keep throwing this Tyson Bagent guy out there. They're not going to have the number one pick in the drafts. They might have to hurry and get Fields to play so they can go back to losing because,
they've already got that locked up. It's called Carolina.
Oh, no, Carolina. I got that. But you can have the first two picks if you roll Justin Fields out there. Yeah. So, you don't want to be winning.
I get that.
Right, you too much. That's going to be that's going to be the new drinking game. Last year was Westbrook.
Hey, wait, you know what? I hate to stop you guys. No, actually, I'll do it later because I want to ask both of you a question that somebody asked me who listens to our show to ask both of you, but I'll wait till later.
Yeah,
go ahead,
B, and then let's do this.
I was just gonna say that Carolina is the cheat code for the first pick. They are horrible.
That's a coach issue.
I don't see why they're that bad. So unless y'all got anything on that, let's run through a few key games last week. Coop, ask your question and then let's do that.
No, because my question is related to college, so I'll wait till my hogwash.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna throw a couple games out. I just want to get your guys' thoughts real quick. Mm-hmm. So obviously I got to go Lions.
This past game.
Last week, Lions and Ravens. Ravens 38, Lions 6. Lamar was cooking. What you guys thought?
I'll start on this one. Yeah. I watched. This was because my game was on Monday, so I didn't have anything to watch. I was paying super close attention to it. Because one, I thought this was going to be the only good game on. While the rest of the teams, the matchups did not look like they were going to be interesting. So I zeroed in on this. There are going to be plenty of people who are going to say that the Detroit show their Detroitness and they're not blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to be one of them. Baltimore played their butts off.
Agreed.
They played perfect football. The play calling was perfect. I don't know what they did in the game plan and in the room on the week leading up to that, but whatever they did, do all of it the same way because they came out there. They were clearly focused. They were able to make the plays. The patience that Lamar Jackson showed in the pocket was stellar. This was the offense that they dreamed up and said, hey, we're going to get him to throw. He's going to be more of a pocket player. there were plenty of times where he broke out and under every circumstance a year before would have ran and gotten first downs.
Had the space. Yep.
Had the space. But waited a little bit longer, saw the play develop, and got more yards, but also
touchdowns.
Just threw the defense for a loop. Yeah. Because everyone was expecting him. Oh, he's going to roll out. We're going to come up. We're going to run. He's going to run it. And he didn't. And then at that point in time, in the second half of the game, they didn't know what to do with him because he had become a pocket passer just that fast. It was a clinic on how to play football on both sides. And this was, in my opinion, all about Baltimore figuring it out. And Detroit just happening to be the team that they were playing.
100%.
I do not think that there was a team that played football this past weekend that played a game that had they played it with Baltimore would not have gotten beat handily. Not maybe the same way, but handily.
I have a different opinion on this game. I have Baltimore winning this game easily against Detroit. I'm just not a believer in Detroit yet. I'm just not there yet. I still have Minnesota winning the division. I'm still not there on Detroit. They've made improvements, but I don't think they go into a place like Baltimore and win that game. Baltimore,
I don't think anybody won that game, like Brian said, but go ahead.
Lamar Jackson is 16-1 against the NFC. Why? Because if you've never seen Lamar Jackson before, it's an experience. You're not going to be prepared to stop him that first time you play him. He is dynamic the first time you see him. You might need some film on him first to try to slow him down. And it was a clinic.
This wasn't that, man.
It was a beatdown. It was a beatdown.
Yeah, it was.
Baltimore did anything they wanted
Lamar
to do.
Jackson, nobody thought that Lamar Jackson had that kind of patience. I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan. I'm the guy who's always like, he's going to be great, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I didn't think he had that kind of
but I think if he played against an AFC team in his division, he does not have that kind of game. I just think he's 16-1 against the NFC for a reason.
Not about the game. It was about the patience.
It's tougher in division. I'm gonna give you that. All right. So keeping it moving. Coop's favorite team you can't talk about versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs and Chargers. Chargers do it again. 17-31. Chiefs win. Are the Chiefs great? Are the Chiefs regular? Are the Chargers?
Chiefs are the Chiefs. They got high expectations. They're the Chiefs. I mean, they were 5.5-point favorites. They won by 14 against a poorly coached team. I mean, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They're Super Bowl or bust for them every year. They're the only team in the NFL where it's Super Bowl or bust. Seriously. So they did what they had to do.
That's good for me. B.
Yeah, Chiefs are just a better team. We knew that they were going to win.
Yeah.
I do think that Eckler again is getting banged up and hurt, and that's a big problem because they need balance in the Chargers. But ultimately, the coaching is just not good enough to get a very talented team player-wise over a hump.
I can't wait to see when we play them. Bills, Patriots. Bills lose 25-29.
Bills are decimated on defense. Decimated. I still didn't expect New England.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't expect New England to put up 29 points again, but the Bills defense they just have a lot of injuries. And
in division games are tough too.
They don't have enough to overcome those injuries. They don't have enough to overcome those injuries. Josh Allen's not enough. And New England won a game, but nobody cares. I can't talk about them because they're on my stick a fork in them list.
I love it. Good. 30. That's 300 wins for Belichick too. B.
Yeah, look, like Jason said, I mean, this was a great trap game in division. Nobody expected the Patriots to be able to do anything, and they did just enough to be a banged-up team. I don't think that this is the end of the Bills season.
Right.
If they get healthy by the end of the season, they'll be just fine. Talk about the Diamondbacks. It may not look pretty right now, but you get hot at the right point in time. You get healthy at the right point in time.
Yeah.
Go into the playoffs. You can do big things. I think the Bills have enough talent to be able to do that later on. But for the time being, they got to suck it up and take that L because that's what they got.
Word. Last game, Dolphins, Eagles. Dolphins lose 17-31.
I had the Eagles, and that was a Peerless One sports pick right there. I had the Eagles. Miami's just a soft team. I don't trust them against physical guys like Philadelphia in Philadelphia. I just didn't see Miami winning that game. Philadelphia is they just pretty much manhandled them on the line of scrimmage against Miami, and they're just not ready for that type of team. And I don't look at Miami as a bad team, but I don't think they're on the level of an upper echelon team. I think they're the highest of the tier 2 teams, in my personal opinion. How about you, Brian?
Interesting.
Styles make fights. Philadelphia Eagles recognize that Miami likes to play pretty football where they throw it around a lot. They went into Philly's house where it's a little bit chillier, it's a little bit tougher. The grass is a little bit taller. They make things muddy and ugly, and Philadelphia just manhandled them. If you're talking about a boxing match, there's a lot of holding and punches in the inside. and that's just not how Miami wins football games, and ultimately that's why they lost. Does that mean that they can't find a way to win these types of games later on? No, but they needed to take that punch and to understand where they needed to develop, and we'll see what they do next to try and answer.
They get to play us in 2 weeks anyway. I'll be there, so they'll have a chance to bounce back.
Yeah, I think Jalen Hurts is one of the toughest quarterbacks in the NFL because he was definitely limping that game. Guy's always banged up, but he plays. Yeah, he plays.
All right, word. So that's pretty much it. We're right at an hour. If you guys want to give a couple games you're interested in this week, go for it.
Ahead, Brian.
Let's try and take 5 more minutes and get out of here.
You know what? This is a big game for Minnesota in that we're playing a division rival in Green Bay. I think we're going to win this game. So far, I have not done well on this, but it's even. So I'm just going to say Vikings. It's a pick'em.
The point spread is pick'em?
It's pick'em.
Wow. I damn sure will never take oh, wait. Justin Jefferson ain't playing. I don't care. I can't take Jordan Love.
Playing, and it's in Green Bay.
I can't take Jordan Love. Sorry. I'll take Minnesota. It seems like a trap game because it's a pick'em, but
and one quick fact. Jordan Addison has 6 touchdowns. That's 6 touchdowns. That's number 2 in the NFL. That's tied with Diggs. And right behind Hill, who has 7, that is really freaking impressive to have Jefferson and now Addison do those types of stats. But anyways, Vikings are gonna win.
Yeah. Next game, check this out: Jacksonville at Pittsburgh. Who you like in that one? I would imagine the spread is Pittsburgh -3. Let me look.
It's Jacksonville -2.5.
Ooh, yeah, I would take Pittsburgh. That's just me. What about you?
It's a 10 a.m. game. If this was a night game, I might like Pittsburgh a little bit better.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Jaguars.
Okay. All right. And
let's, then do this as the last one and let's wrap him up.
Cleveland, Seattle. That's a good one. Cleveland at Seattle. I'm taking Seattle.
So you're taking Seattle and the point. You're taking Seattle -3.5.
I'm taking Seattle. I would take Cleveland on the points, but I'm taking Seattle to win. I'm taking Seattle to win by 1 or 2.
Because I was going to say the problem that I have is that this is a 3-point game, and I would take Seattle, but it's 3.5. Yeah. So I think Seattle will win. Browns. If I had to bet it, I would take Browns plus the 3.5.
Yeah, I read an article today that the Indianapolis Colts found out the cheat code on how to beat Cleveland. I don't think that's. I think that's going a little bit too far. I think Cleveland just played a very physical game against the Niners. Don't expect them to be as physical the next week.
Still put up 30-something.
No, they did. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about defense. Defense got gashed against Indianapolis. I don't think there's a cheat code yet to crack that defense. That defense is still pretty good. So, yeah, I don't believe in that, but we'll see.
All right, so let's slide to the end of the show. Last 2 segments, hogwash and minute to win it. For me, I'm going to go kind of quick. I'm going to go first. My hogwash is the Las Vegas Raiders organization. You guys have figured out a lot right. The stadium's beautiful. The practice facility's good. Like, you guys are making the right steps. The on-field product has not been it. You don't become a fan because of the right now. You become a fan because of growing up. And for me, 3 generations of Raiders and, excitement of being in Oakland. They won a lot of games when I was there. Maybe not on the season, but I actually got to see some wins. So that's cool. But this right now is just tough. And I just feel for new fans like my mom who, gets into football in the last years. And it's just like, is it always this bad? Not good. And they can definitely do better. So hopefully they figure it out, because it'd be cool to see us at least relevant. I mean, I'm not saying you got to be in the Super Bowl every year, but at least be relevant. You don't need to be this bad. So Las Vegas Raiders, get it together. You're a bunch of hogwash right now. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah. My hogwash segment is the college football media banging on Harbaugh in Michigan for recording signals with a cell phone.
He should leave. I wouldn't be there. I would go right to a pro team.
JJ Watt came out and said, "I'm from Wisconsin." That's called scouting.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Everybody does that. The only reason people are making a big mess about it because it's Harbaugh, because a lot of people don't like him and he's coaching at Michigan. If this was Indiana University, if this was Indiana University, or Illinois, nobody would care. So that's my hogwash.
If I was Harbaugh, I would go to the worst team in Las Vegas in the pros and show those guys right this minute.
So yeah, that's my hogwash segment. B.
For me, I'm not usually the one that jumps on this bandwagon, but I have had enough of the refs. They're reffing every single game, like every single team is the Raiders, because it is so blatant when you watch football, how many mistakes are made.
Okay.
It has gotten to the point where, the Indianapolis Colts owner is out there saying every play should be able to be reviewed within under 2 minutes. My big change would, if I could make any, is that you can review anything that you want, because these PI calls sometimes are just missed, they're just blown, and they're game-changing ones, especially in the NFL, where you can get 60, 70 yards off of a PI play, or a missed spot, or any of these things. They should be able to do whatever they want, but the reffing has gotten porous, and then you start looking at why this is happening, and it's because it's become a union job. It's the same as being a dock worker. Your dad's been there, so you get to be there. It's gotten away from the best refs ref the football games, and it's more about who and what and how long you've been there. And some of these guys need to be retired. We need to get some of our better college coaches in the NFL or however the program works, but they've got to do better. These games are too important. There's too much money on the games, both for the players and just in general in the league, and we got to do better.
100%. Cool. Minute to win it. I'm just gonna say thanks to everybody for listening. I think I had one, but I forgot what it was.
Yeah, I did too. I forgot mine. Yeah.
I didn't forget mine. I was hoping you all might have something a little bit more upbeat, but here I am talking about 22 people dead in Maine. There was almost 60 people injured, where someone went around the entire town of Lewiston, and just started shooting. There's 22 people dead as of right now. That number continues to go up. It was 16 just a little while ago, and here we are with another senseless shooting on the same day that we got a new Speaker of the House. And so the new Speaker of the House, almost on cue. Remember, we're filming this on a Wednesday night. Almost on cue, tomorrow we'll go and say my thoughts and prayers are with the families of the people who were lost. And this is not a time to evaluate and think about gun control. This is a time to think about the fact that we have these people lost, and we'll talk about that at another more appropriate time. And then it'll never talk about it. We talk about it again. And here we are again with 60 people injured, 22 people dead, and another person with an AR-15 suspected going around, plugging people for no damn reason. It is so far beyond control. And the fact that I can predict the platitudes, because we have so many of these incidents ahead of time, is just sad. It's really sad. My heart dropped a little bit at the beginning of our show. I got a text from someone letting me know that a mutual friend, someone who I think about often, their daughter actually goes to school in Maine and in Lewiston, and so we were a little bit worried about what may have came, but we found out 5 minutes ago that they're okay, and so it doesn't need to why people wait until it hits close to home to understand how insane it is that 82 people got shot today. 82 people by one person with an AR-15. The person of interest is a certified arms instructor and a member of the U.S. Army Reserves. That's tragic. So anyways, my heart goes out to all of the people who live in that area, just like all the platitudes. But I also think it's time to do something. Got to do something.
Yeah, 100% agree. We'll catch y'all next time. Thanks.